Hello guys, this is my interview with the another YouTuber, better known as Paul Dame Jackson, but now known as Emperor Michael. Hello, Michael, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you, Yemi?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Had a good Christmas yourself?
Yeah, everything's fine. It was just a quiet Christmas. Spent time with the family. It was fine.
Okay, okay, man. Do you live by yourself, Michael? Do you live? You got flatmates, or do you live with your family? Or
Yeah, I live with family at the moment.
okay, okay. Anyways, Christmas is it's just good time spend time with the family. Especially past COVID and the lockdown. So it's a good time to spend family and you can relax, during these unpredictable times.
Yeah, everyone seems to be getting stressed.
Yeah, especially, because you never know. Probably, maybe I'll be in lockdown in January and New Year, so no one knows what's going on. Boxing might be,
Well,
is it boxing banned for January? Because boxing's not coming back on in the UK, I think, until March now. Because I think Eddie and Frank are not putting any shows now in the New Year.
it's a shame whatever happens. I was looking forward to going to boxing shows, but ultimately, boxing promoters have to follow what the government advises them to do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, anyways, Michael. So, regards to your plans for the new year, do you think in terms of fights, because we had a chat before we did this recording today, you don't think White will fight Fury next year?
I doubt it. Yeah, I very much doubt it.
Okay, and you don't, so are Khan and Bucks been confirmed? What do you think about that in February?
It's a good fight. So I know a lot of people are going to say it's years too late. Yeah, it is, but I still look forward to it. I think it will still be interesting. I probably
Okay,
favor I probably favor Amir Khan to win the fight. Um,
really?
well, I mean, if it was years ago, I would have said Kell Brook quite comfortably, but I just think Kell Brook seems to have physically deteriorated more. He took a lot of damage against Golovkin, Spence, Crawford. Whereas Amir Khan, he just seems to bounce back. He lasted long against Crawford, and I mean it's a difficult fight to pick. It's not like when Khan fought Canelo. I said that's going to be an easy knockout for Canelo. Same with Brook Golovkin. I said it's going to be an easy knockout for Golovkin. So it's a difficult fight to pick. I could be wrong, but I just think it's going to be exciting. What do you think, Yemi?
I think it all depends on how much the tank Bucks got left. If Buck can manage to make it down to 149 without much issues, then I think he can knock Khan out. If the weight's still a big issue in this fight, then Khan may stop him because I got to feel like Brock is maybe half blind. I don't think his eye socket is fully healed, especially with the Crawford fight. I got a feeling Brock's socket is still sensitive to no shots. I don't think he can handle shots to the eyes anymore like he used to.
Yeah, that's my point. I think he's physically deteriorated more, and it's just a shame. I mean, the fight should have happened years ago, but boxing politics for you.
Do you think Al Buck should have signed Al Heyman sooner and got the fight like with Furman and Garcia and because all the welterweights at one point were pretty much all with Al Heyman, and unfortunately, Buck was signed with Eddie, and therefore he was booked out with all the elite heavyweights, and therefore he took all these BS fights like Jojo Dan and Kevin Bezier. He fight any elite welterweight after he fought Sean Potter until he had a fight in El Spencer Mantoy, which heavily affected his career, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. I think he should have signed with Al Heyman. But I think sometimes boxers are not necessarily the most logical people. They don't make the best decisions for their career. Um, I mean, I'm trying to be polite, but I'll just say it bluntly. Well, sometimes they're not the most intelligent people. I mean, look, I remember I sparred a guy called David Pereira years
Okay.
ago. Who used to train Anthony Small. I've got a very good memory. I remember I left the gym that day. This guy's a boxing trainer. Obviously, he's in the gym for years and years and years. but he never really boxed pro. But after we sparred, I left the gym with headaches, like
Oh,
serious
okay.
headaches. So, I've seen Kell Brook spar, I've watched him spar people before, and I think people don't take this into account. These guys are sparring, they're fighting, they're getting punched in their heads for however many years. I think it does have a serious effect. So sometimes they don't make the best decisions. But yeah, he should have definitely signed with Al Heyman. I mean, I went to America in 2011, November 2011, and while I was there, I mean, that's when my channel really took off. So, this is what I'm saying to a lot of fighters, or someone like Tyson Fury is a better example. Obviously he beat Klitschko in Germany, but when he went over there and beat Wilder, I think that's what made a lot of us say, well, he's definitely on another level to Joshua now.
Yeah,
So I said,
definitely, definitely, absolutely. Same,
it's
same with
just
Lewis as well. Like Lewis, one of the reasons why he was such a great champion is I think he surrounded himself with a good American trainer in the form of Manny Stewart.
yeah, I
He
remember
managed to
that.
learn his skills abroad rather than in the UK because Lewis was based in Canada and he spent most of his career fighting in America. So he's surrounded by knowledge by American trainers, which has helped definitely give him a good career.
Yeah, I think obviously Emmanuel Stewart turned them around, but yeah, regarding your question, should Kell Brook have signed with Al Heyman? Yeah, it definitely should have. There were so many fights there. America for welterweights is basically the Premiership, isn't it? He should have gone there, but now he's just past his prime, and not even prime per se, but he's taken so much damage that yeah, he's not the same now. So yeah,
Remember,
just
we had a conversation briefly over Deputy as well, and why not? Why the reason why he's not going to retire? You say it's because of the money. Because I'm puzzled by Chisel's reason. I know he loves the sport. I understand this is his passion. He loves it. He'll die for it. But enough is enough. Like if you're losing in that fashion, he wasn't even competitive. Like a one-side massacre against Parker the weekend. Why are you fighting? Okay, you're making money, but you're multi-millionaire. You made a lot of money. You made more money than most champions. So why are you fighting? Why risk your health? What's the point of making all that money while when you're older and you can't even speak to your grandkids? You can't even speak to your wife. You're slurring your words. You need help to move around the house. You see all these cases like Muhammad Ali and Magic Taylor and James Toney, all these great fighters, and Tommy Hearns, all these great fighters, the fighting, got great fighters, but because of the punishment and because they fought far too long, beyond their prime, they're not enjoying the fruits of their labor. They're all men, but they're unhealthy. They're slurring the word. They can't speak straight. So, is it worth it, all this punishment just for what? Who are you trying to prove you're losing? And there's some fight. I also have the mentality because health is beyond wealth, in my opinion. It's not point making that money if you can't enjoy it, especially in your old age.
I agree. So you think he should retire?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Fight who? You be a gatekeeper for Dubois, Joyce. Who's going to fight now? Who's going to fight? And it's nonsense. Him fighting Wilder. Why would destroy him? Why would knock him out senseless in less than 5 rounds? I don't know what Eddie Head is. You think about, oh yeah, Chidozoa can beat Wilder if last 4 rounds, as if. I don't these trainers and these some of these promoters and they don't care about these fighters. So I don't think Eddie Hearn. Maybe I don't know maybe we should show that, but Eddie Hearn and that him fighting Wilder next is just a lot of nonsense, in my opinion.
no, you're completely right. I agree. I think Chisora should retire. But as I say, fighters, I'll be blunt. Just some of them, they don't come across as intelligent people. So I do agree. He's worth it. If I was in his position, yeah, he's just taking damage. But going back to what I'm saying about being intelligent, yeah, but a lot of them might make money, but I just don't think they know how to handle money. And I'll give you simple examples. The fact that Derek Chisora signed with David Haye, to me, I don't think that's an intelligent decision because when he signed with David Haye, yeah, but Derek Chisora has already established himself in boxing, so I don't understand what you need David Haye for. And then David Haye's going to be taking 20, 25% of your purse. And what's David Haye going to do for you? talk for you in interviews. Oh, this is the new Derek Chisora, new and improved. What is so to me? That was not an intelligent decision. I mean, what do you think? What was the benefit of him signing with David Hay?
Apparently he wanted to do to improve his fitness levels or something to do with his promotion or marketing. It was like a marketing gimmick because Hayes is a
No,
no-name in British boxing.
nah, but if you're saying fitness, then do what I'm doing. Do hills or just train. It's not. But I've been around Derek before. He's not. He doesn't train hard. So in terms of fitness, the only person that can push you is yourself. In terms of marketing, I'd say there's nothing that David Hay could do for him because, but you're already famous though. You're already Derek Chisora. So, it's like, if you're doing it out of friendship, if it was, yeah, come support me at some of my fights, that's okay. But not if you're giving up 20, 25% of your purse. Would you, like, if I was in his position, this is what I'd say to David Hay. Like, if you want to come support me as, friends, yeah, that's cool. But I'm not going to pay you 20, 25% of my purse. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't need you to talk for me. And in terms of fitness, the only person that can push you to be fit is yourself. So going back to the question with Chisora, well, as I say, I don't know how much money he's making for fights. Probably making at least, let's just say 200 grand or 400 grand. But this is how some of them look at it. Where else are you going to make that kind of money? And but a lot of them don't know how to handle it but just look at what he's doing. He's jumping from one trainer to another trainer, from one team to another team, signed with David Hay. Now he signed with Anthony Joshua's management team. I met Joshua's manager, Freddie Cunningham. I met him at the Chisora. The recent press conference. I met him. Then I met a woman there called Nicola. Now, what Nicola does, just to give you an idea what boxing's like behind the scenes, basically, we had to queue up for a Derek Chisora interview. To get the interview with Derek, there's a big security guard, and then you try talking to him, he'll say to you, you've got to get permission from Nicola. I had to go up to Nicola to get an interview with Derek. I got the interview because Derek recognized me. He's like, oh yeah, let him in. But when I went up to this woman, she's dressed quite well. She had like a nice, like one of those Michael Jackson Chorby hats. So this is what I'm trying to say. Obviously, she's being paid. So you got this guy, that guy. He's got his own security. He's got Freddie Cunningham, the manager, David Coldwell, Buddy McGirt. Used to work with Don Charles. You got all these people taking a cut of your money. You're just jumping from person to person to person. So it's your life. Do what you want to do. But this is what I'm saying about boxers. They just jump from people to people to people. And I'm like, well, you can do it, but then you're going to have to keep starting all over again. If you go to a new trainer, they're going to train you a new, etc., etc. So listen, I wish him well. I really think he should retire, but he's not going to do it. He wants that money. Oh, and sorry, the other one, the Wilder, that's a silly fight. Wilder will knock him out. Most likely, he'll knock him out quite easily. And I just think Eddie Hearn's a cold person to even bring up that conversation. Like Parker's not a puncher. Parker pretty much had him out on his feet, and you're going to put him in with Wilder. Why doesn't Eddie Hearn get in and take people on then? And you find out what it's like. Just Derek's just always done. Yeah, he might beat a few of the low level guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people say that fight was competitive. It was not competitive at all. Maybe for one round. It was a one-side beating from round two. So was out on his feet as early as maybe round 2, 3. He was just plodding. The fight was awful. It was out of energy. It was slow. Pacquiao was giving a beatdown. So people say that it was a competitive fight. Like, what fight are you watching? It wasn't a great fight at all. It was just, pretty much one-sided massacre by Parker. So people just, I don't know, some of these boxing people, I don't know, they're just so biased, so biased, man, unbelievable. That fight was not exciting. It was just she's always old, past it, old man, plodding around the place. His resistance is gone, like you said. He's just washed up. So people saying that, he's got a chance against Wilder. What plan are you on?
Well, I think everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I acknowledge. I'm not gonna say respect, but I acknowledge everyone's opinion. But just some of those opinions they said about Derek is wrong. As people get to know me, I would say I'm not saying I've got the most boxing knowledge. There's people with more knowledge than me. But in terms of common sense, I'd put myself over anyone in the sport. I'd say I've got more common sense than Eddie Hearn because, I mean, I don't know why you're saying Derek can beat Wilder. He can't. If you're trying to get a few more paydays out of him, I mean, I don't. He can't. He's not even going to beat people like Joe Joyce, Huey Fury. He can't beat them.
Yeah, Daniel
Just
Bio,
step.
Afrikaner Bio stopping as well.
Most like just trying because what it is when I say I've got common sense, I think I can articulate it well. I'm not saying I've got the most boxing knowledge, but from a common sense point of view, Derek's physically deteriorated. I mean, if you imagine, but most people don't really know what boxing's like. Like from my years of sparring, and I've had a few fights. Look, man, you're getting punched in the head. Like you're getting punched in the head, you're getting punched in the body, and obviously your body breaks down. And Derek's not the same person he was before. But a lot of us, a lot of people of a certain age, do you feel as energetic as you did when you were younger? Can you run as fast? Can you do the things you could do when you were younger? I remember when I was young, I'd say 5, 6 years ago, I could do hill sprints. I dare say Monday to Friday. I do that easily. I do say 10 hill sprints a day, no problem. I could do that 5 days a week. But these days, like I'm 31 now, like that was 5, 6 years ago. It takes me longer to recover, and that's what I'm saying. And I haven't taken the same punishment that other people have, So when you get these guys that are going through camps, when they're getting beaten up in sparring, so he's not physically not the same. I think his punch resistance is gone, and I just think Wilder's a silly fight. He can't, just don't think he can't beat Wilder, you know.
And him and John Charles, it's like Chisora. Every time he leaves John Charles, his career like deteriorates, goes down a bit. Every time he leaves John Charles, like him and John Charles is the only person that gets out the best out of Chisora, in my opinion.
Yeah, you could be right. It could be anything. I said earlier, I think the only person that can get you fit is yourself. But then obviously some people may have a different motivation or effect on you. So for him, maybe Don Charles is that guy. But like I wish Derek well, but you're jumping from team to team to team. I don't really see like if I could sit down with him, I interviewed him, but if I could have a proper interview, but I'd say, but why are you leaving these people? You're going here, you're going there. I mean, a lot of fighters these days, you don't realize. Look at Muhammad Ali, stayed with the same team his whole career, or Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe Luke. Like you don't. Every time they lose or they look bad, they want to go to a new team. But sometimes it's not. It's the fighter's fault. You're not. It's like with me. I'm not. I'm quick. I got good skills. I got good defense, but I'm not the hardest puncher. So it's like if okay, it's like if I was to box at middleweight, I'm not strong at middleweight. So if I get knocked out, okay, forget me. I don't want to. Let's just say something like Amir Khan. But it's nobody's fault that you got knocked out by Prescott. Like you're blaming the team, but you're just not. You're not physically strong enough at that weight. And there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of fighters will jump from trainer to trainer and not just say, you know what, I'm not strong enough or I'm not good enough, and just go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, take accountability for your failures, your mistakes. Take accountability for your action. Don't blame other people. Don't no excuses. If you lose, it's generally your fault for losing.
But as I say, I mentioned this earlier when we spoke off camera, but there's no shame in losing. You're going to lose things in life. It's not, but there's so much, especially in boxing, but there's so much pressure on these people that some of the things they say, I'll give you the best example. Like I said to Andy Lee, it's like when you watch Roy Jones Jr. I think there's two fights when you watch David Telesco or Richard Hall. Those fights, like at one, they just became one-sided fights. But then you still get the commentators. being too, oh, he should do this, he should do that. But I'm like, but these fights, they're not going to win. It's like I've sparred, I'm not trying to show off, but it's like I've sparred so many people. Basically, there's like sort of three different levels in boxing. There's people you're much better than, people about the same level as you, or people better than you. So it's like if I'm sparring someone who I'm much better than, it's like I'll go easy, I'll go light. But say someone's watching and you're trying to tell them do this, do that. If they do it, I'll just go harder. So this is what I'm trying to say about Roy Jones. I don't like when people were telling these, oh, do this, do that. Yeah, but they're losing the fight. Let me try and think of a recent fight where someone got schooled. It's like
Much as
what's a good example?
Joshua and Usyk.
Okay, let's just say that. That's a good example. But I just think Usyk was too much for him on that night. He's a more experienced and more developed fighter. But the point I'm trying to make, people come up with unrealistic expectations. They ask too much of fighters. If you lose the fight, it doesn't, it's okay. Sometimes you're just human. There's only so much you can do. I can talk English very well. I can speak bits of Spanish, but I can't talk Spanish well because I don't live in a Spanish speaking country. I haven't studied it. So, but that's what I'm saying about boxing. You're coming up with coming up with too much expectations of them. And that's, it's part of the problem. As I said about fans, like, you're just harsh on fighters. Like, you look at football, people love their team regardless, but with boxing, it's like one fight and
one minute you're hot, the next minute you're nobody after a defeat.
Well, I mean, but it's harsh on them. You're coming up with unrealistic expectations, but you got to put that on the system as well. You got
I know you've interviewed Eddie a few times. It seems like Eddie, but this is partly why I've got a bit of issues with Eddie Hearn. It seems like when he fights lose, you just think, unless you're AJ or you're a money maker, when you lose a fight, like Josh, the way like with Josh Kelly with Whitson, when they lost the fight, it seems that Eddie just disregarded, doesn't pay any interest to his boxers that I particularly lose.
Oh yeah, but that's a known fact. I've had fighters tell me when they've lost, Eddie Hearn doesn't answer their phone calls anymore.
Yeah.
But then this is what I'm saying. With me, I'm very mentally strong and I'm very I'm logical, I'm bright. But a lot of fighters, that stuff, for me, it wouldn't really bother me because I'd say openly, I don't really look at people in boxing as my friends. If we become friends, cool. But you're not my mum, so I don't really care about it. So if I start, go on.
Yeah, a lot of boxers think that the promoters are their family. A lot of people think Eddie Hearn is their brother, their uncles. I mean, they're not. Eddie Hearn is your boss. He's there to make money. You don't treat anyone, especially promoters, as your friend. So unless you're making money for these promoters, they don't care if you die tomorrow.
Yeah, but a lot of fighters don't. No, but a lot of fighters don't get this. I do. Like the way I look at Eddie, I get on with him. Now, if things start going well for me and if things start happening for me with Matchroom, great. If Eddie Hearn wants to start putting money into my bank account or give me a job at Matchroom, cool. But at the same time, I'm just going to say to myself, so I've known the guy, I first met him over 10 years ago. So I just look at business. If I'm, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to go to university. Boom, if I get an opportunity, great. But I'm not, I've known him over 10 years. So I'm not going to say, oh, he's my best friend. He's not. We outside of boxing, we've never met. So it wouldn't mean anything to me. Like if I just get an email from Matchroom, thanks for your time, and we're gonna. Well, I've never been fired, but how would the letter go? We're gonna bring your contract to an end. If that happened, I just get on. I wouldn't care. I'd go to De La Hoya. I'd go to Al Heyman. I'd try and look for something else. A lot of fighters, though, when it happens to them, they seem to get heartbroken. Or Kell Brook's the perfect example. It's like I saw the interview they did with her and together, and it's like he's saying to her, "Yeah, I thought you were my boy," and this and it's like, mate, what are you on about? I told Kell Brook this. I'll tell you what I told him recently. Yeah, he's told me he's trying to fight. He's trying to get fights with Khan, Eubank, and Ben. I told him, don't fight Eubank. He's too big. I said, if Khan happens, it happens. I said, but if I was you, try and fight Khan or Ben. I said, but if I was you, don't try and fight Eubank. It's too big. It's too fresh. And yeah, I warned him. I just told him, like, don't. I'm very straightforward with people. Like, I don't care if you're famous, if you're not famous. I'll just tell you what I think about you. But I told him, like, obviously, not everyone in boxing's like me. They can make money off you. They'll make money off you, and if not, yeah, obviously a bit of a long response. But this is what I'm saying. Fans don't get. There's a lot of pressure on fighters. They know if they take a loss, it's not. I don't think fighters are scared of. It's like once you've been in the ring with so many people, you're not scared of violence. But obviously, if you lose, your money, your economics is going to suffer. So I think that's why fighters don't want to fight certain people, because then you end up getting ignored. You lose, don't want to take your phone calls anymore.
That's why I know you've got issues with Frank Warren, but with Frank Warren, he seems to be more loyal to his fight even when he lose because he supported is Enzo Maccarelli back in the day when he lost numerous times, even after the Hayes knockout. He promoted Enzo even to his retirement age. That's why I give Frank more credit because he seems to be maybe because Frank's not in the position of power Eddie is. He needs to be more willing to back his fighters even with defeat. And he seems to be more I don't loyal more. He needs to do more for his fighters than what Eddie does. Eddie's a good promoter if you got a fan base already. You know, Eddie and Frank is if you really got a fan base like if you're AJ or White or Josh Warrington, if you got a fan base already, Eddie's excellent. Eddie's like the Jose Mourinho of boxing. I always said that if you really got hype behind you, if you really got embraced fan base, you really got somebody backing you, then Eddie's the right guy to be. If you're nobody, if you're a guy trying to make a fan base from ground up, then Frank's the guy because Frank will match you correctly. He done wonders what he did for the yard, Daniel Dubai. He will take more time with his fighters, whereas Eddie will rush you just for a quick buck. This is from my observation of each promoters and the way they handle their fighters.
No, that's a great point. I'll give you a great answer. So when you say I got my issue with Frank, yeah, we don't get on, but again, I'm not emotional. I'm very honest and logical about what I say. So I'll say I'm objective. So I'll say some nice things about Frank. Frank's a better boxing man than Eddie. He
Yeah, I agree.
understands the sport. He understands the sport better. What's a good okay, I'll give you a simple example about Eddie. Do you remember when Derek Chisora threw the table?
Yeah, at White.
Yeah, and you remember afterwards when he confronted Eddie and Eddie got scared.
Okay.
Did you remember that he was saying something to Eddie about he was upset with Dylan, so he was saying he felt that Dylan White had threatened him, so he was saying to Eddie, "Oh yeah, you promote that stuff. Dylan White threatening me," and then Eddie basically got scared. He flinched. Did you see that footage afterwards?
No, I don't remember
Okay,
that one.
it's right. It doesn't matter. I'll send it to you later if you want. But basically, I think Eddie Hearn made himself look very silly because where Derek Chisora's come to you after he threw the table, and Derek Chisora's trying to tell you why he threw the table, Eddie Hearn got scared. But Chisora's not upset with you. He's just telling you the situation. So in my opinion, you've made yourself look silly. So the point I'm trying to make, going back to boxing, look, if a fighter loses a fight, things happen. But I could say the same thing about you because Derek Chisora is not threatening you. He's just trying to talk, but you've gotten scared of him. If that was me, if Derek Chisora tried coming at me like that, no, he wasn't aggressive. He was just talking. I would have just talked to him. I would have said, "Why are you upset?" I would have stood face to face with him. Obviously, I'm not going to fight him, but as in, I would have had no problem standing in front of him. So this is what I'm trying to say. Eddie's not always the most sensible person. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I completely agree. Frank Warren's better with bringing fighters back, and Frank Warren's just got more common sense. Like just because you lose a fight, so okay, it's like Eddie Hearn. You don't make mistakes as a promoter. How many? This is a better example. How many people has Eddie Hearn upset in the past? The Arams, the Al Haymans. So are there not mistakes that you've made in your career? Okay, so again, I'd say I'm brighter than him because when you're dealing with people like Aram and Heyman, these people are old enough to be your dads. And especially Al Heyman, he's worked with the Michael Jacksons, the Jay-Z's and so on. So when you're trying to go over to America and say, oh, we're going to take over America, like you think it's wise to go there with that energy. They're going to see you as arrogant. So you've made mistakes as a promoter. Are fighters not allowed to make mistakes as fighters? But as soon as they make a mistake, it's like you want to throw them on the scrap heap.
Can Eddie ever make it big in America? Or do you reckon now that's always going to be dominated by Al Haven and Bob Arum? Because Eddie, I watched an interview with Eddie and Rob Tebbett from Boxing Social. Eddie thinks in his mind that he'll be the Dana White of boxing, that he'll be the dominant force of
No,
boxing around the world. He'll conquer America.
that is delusional. I saw the Rob Tebbett interview the other day.
You think eventually that Bob Arum, Al Heyman, all the fighters from the stables will come to Eddie, and he will be the
No,
dominant force.
no, it would have happened by now. No, I'll say if I had enough time, I could say it to Eddie, but I think he's delusional. Like you've done a great job in the UK, but the UK, you've got no competition. You've just got Frank, who's an old man who doesn't get social media, and Frank Warren's an emotional person. Like how many people has he threatened to sue?
Yeah, how many lawsuits
Me,
in how many years?
me, he's threatened to sue me, Coogan, Dave Coldwell, like loads of people. So like, you haven't got any competition in the UK. You've just got Frank, who he's an emotional person. He gets angry, and if you talk about America, I mean, you got Al Heyman. I think Al Heyman's a very intelligent man, and yeah, you can say all this rubbish about, oh, this is how you promote and this and that. Yeah, but it's working for them. So, and Al Heyman's the guy who's been behind Mayweather, so you can't really criticize him.
In my
That's
opinion, this
why.
might sound
I
harsh,
go on.
but like Canelo, Eddie has no presence in America, in my opinion. Without Canelo Alvarez, what's Eddie achieved in America really, apart from promoting a few fights with Canelo? He's done nothing,
I,
in my opinion,
I,
American.
I wouldn't say he's promoted Canelo. I'd say, right, you had some fighters that I just think people don't really stand up to Eddie. I'd do it if I could get enough time with him. I said, look, you had fighters, you gave him Callum Smith, you gave him Billy Joe Saunders to fight. You're not his promoter. And this thing is, these people, they're not stupid. Like they might I think also I've met Americans before. I met Canelo once. It was a long time ago. I think they're very nice people, but they're not stupid. So like the same way Eddie Hearn treats people he doesn't need, like they're not stupid. Like they know you need them more than they need you. So I could be wrong, but I just
With
yeah.
Tevin Farmer, you do much with Tevin Farmer, you do much with Demetrius Andrade, Danny Jacobs. Apart from getting Canelo fight, what name one success outside Canelo that Eddie's had to fight as American fighters?
I wouldn't really say he's had success with Canelo. You've had fighters, you gave him your fighters to fight. Oh, here you go. I got Billy Joe Saunders. I got Callum Smith. I got Daniel. Oh, you've offered him these fights, and that's it. It's just they're one-off deals. So I don't. He's not Canelo's promoter, even though he likes to pretend he is. But I'm talking objectively. I've got no motive against anyone. I wish everyone all the best, but they're not stupid. Like, I don't think they're gonna. You know, they don't need Eddie Hearn, so I don't. They're not. Well, think about it. They'll just go from show to show. They've went from Eddie Hearn, then they went to Al Heyman. They'll just go to whoever offers them the best deal, which is what Eddie Hearn does. If you can, he just takes whatever fighter offers him the best deal. AJ, Conor Ben, Katie Taylor. And, once you lose your relevance, I remember he used to love Kell Brook. Kell Brook got him started in boxing. I think Eddie Hearn's first fight was Audley Harrison, and then Kell Brook was one of his first signings. I
Yeah.
remember them guys were apparently they were best friends, and
Yes, yeah, brothers from another mothers. Yeah, brothers from another mothers. Yeah, as I was saying.
then next thing you know, they're insulting each other, and I'll challenge. Like if I was working with Kell Brook from the start, I'd openly tell everyone. I'd tell him, don't fight Golovkin, and if you do fight him, I'll go tell your mother. I'll go tell your family. If anything happens to Kell Brook, It's not my responsibility. I'd say, I wouldn't want you to take the Golovkin fight. But I'd say this about Eddie Hearn: like, if you care so much, you shouldn't have put him in there with Golovkin. But from what I understand, you don't want to put your hand in your pocket and invest in fighters here. Because imagine if if you'd brought people like Keith Thurman and that sort of opponent over here, Kell Brook would have had a great chance, or he would have probably beaten some of them. But he was never going to beat Golovkin.
Why do you think? Why do you think? Why do you think Eddie failed to get booked the Khan fight, even when Khan was signed to match him for a couple of fights for that year or two? Why do you think? Could people say Eddie's a great promoter, but why Eddie, even with all his connection and his determination, how can he never get booked? The fight he definitely needed was the Khan fight from your perspective. It's simply that Khan was afraid of Brook, he didn't want it, or was it Eddie's fault that couldn't get the fight?
I don't think Khan was afraid of Brook. I mean, when you fight that much, but that's like you interview people, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'd call this an interview or just a conversation between two people, but it's like saying, are you scared to talk to people?
No, not really.
Yeah, so I'd say it's the same thing about boxing. I don't think fighters fear each other. Is that Khan, you box at that high level. I don't think he's scared of Brook. You look at how many people he's been in the ring with, Maidana, Tudor, Devin Alexander, Canelo, etc. I don't think he was scared of him. I think it was more probably just a business decision. Maybe he didn't think he needed Brook. Maybe he wanted to make a name in America instead. I remember at one point, I think Kell Brook wanted too much money at one point. And Khan was a much bigger name, so Kell Brook didn't want to take less money. But why didn't the fight happen? But plus, I think maybe Eddie's part of the problem, because you tell me if I'm wrong, but the way he talks to people, I mean, he's arrogant. He thinks he's more important than he actually is, and it's like I keep going back and forth with people. It's like Eddie thinks he's too important. The way he talks about people like Khan, Wilder, it's like you're too disrespectful. And these are people you're trying to work with. He's made comments about, if I was to interview Eddie Hearn, I'll make him look silly, because you're saying stuff about Khan Brook. He's saying, his fight's past its bet and this and that. So he says that, but then you're trying to get these guys to fight Conor Benn. And you're making disrespectful comments saying, they're scared of Conor Benn, or it's too much of a challenge. It's not too much of a challenge. It's just that at some point, I don't really think they're going to fight Conor Benn, but at some point, you have to call it a day. I think they've had long enough careers. Conor Benn doesn't want to fight David Avanesian. So, back to the question. I think maybe Eddie Hearn's part of the problem, because he gets on people's nerves. I can handle it. I'm not emotional. But if you take a lot of people in boxing, if you annoy them, they're going to say, well, why should I work with you? And that's what he's finding out with Leonard Ellaby now, Al Heyman. So I'd guess my answer would be, I think he got on Amir Khan's nerves, and Khan said, you know what, I don't need you. I'm going to go work with Oscar, and I'm going to go work in America.
I felt bad for Brook when the Khan signed to Eddie for like three fights. He fought is it Phil LaGreco, then he fought Samuel Vargas, and he fought Terence Crawford. That was a big spec to Eddie as well, Brook in the face. You had Khan sign your stable for 3 fights, and you couldn't even get a deal with your boy Kell Brook.
I'd say, but look, as I say, I don't think Eddie's too arrogant. But tell me if I'm wrong. Like, don't you, when you listen to the way he talks about people like Wilder and Khan, don't you think he gets on their nerves?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he talks like they're beneath him.
Thing is, I can handle it because I'm very. I don't really care what people got to say about me. It's just business. It's not. It's like you go to Tesco's. Sometimes I get people that work at Tesco's. Sometimes, they'll talk to you. Hey, how was your day? But then sometimes you get these rude employees. It's like they won't even make eye contact with you. Like they just completely ignore you, like as they're serving you. I don't know if that's ever happened to you.
Yeah.
When you go to but what I'm saying, for me, that's how I look at boxing. I don't care if you're polite, I don't care if you're rude. If I'm doing business with you, like if I'm going to Tesco's, just give me my product, give me my change, leave it at that. But a lot of people in boxing are not like that. They're very bitter. If they think you're disrespecting them, they'll they'll do things. They'll try to shut you out. They'll take legal action, or they'll say, you know what? It's like the Godfather. They'll say, one day I'm going to get my revenge on you. And this is what I think Eddie Hearn's not really grasping this, because you're trying to work with these people, and it's like you're getting on people's nerves. I'd like to say Ellaby's a good example. I'm not blaming Hearn. I'm not. Maybe it's Ellaby's fault, but it's like you keep winding people up. The Richard Schaefer, the impressions. I'm not saying it's not funny, but if the man doesn't want you to do it, then just stop doing it. But don't do what you want, but just don't be surprised if you're gonna keep mugging people off, don't be surprised if they mug you off right back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like you said, in boxing, a lot of people take things, personal. So especially when you see you as being disrespectful and will do anything not to work with you. They'll do anything not to work with you.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Because if Frank, honestly, if Frank was in Eddie's position, if Frank was still the #1 promoter in the UK, I don't think he would care about working ready at all. He wouldn't play to have breakfast or lunch with him. I don't think Frank would even give Eddie a second thought. I think he just ignored him. He would know his phone calls, his emails. He just when you're on top in boxing, you want to be the man forever.
It's natural, and as I say, I think I'm objective, but I just think Eddie talks too much. I just think you get too carried away, and okay, but as I said, when you're saying stuff, like I saw some of his recent comments about Conor Ben. It's like, oh yeah, Conor Ben might be too big a challenge for Amir Khan and Kell Brook. Like you're taking the absolute mick. Wouldn't be too big a challenge coming from a guy who doesn't box, coming from a guy. And obviously, I'd say this to Eddie Hearn's face, but I'm trying to get you to think how Amir Khan would think. Look at what Amir Khan's achieved in boxing compared to Conor Ben. Like Amir Khan was 17 when he beat Mario Kindelan. Mario Kindelan was in his 30s, Cuban. He was the best from Cuba. And you're trying to tell him Conor Ben is too much of a challenge. It's like, for me, as someone who fights, it's not the fights are easy. It's not the fighting, it's the training. Yeah, you're having to train weeks, and so saying something like, "Oh, Conor Ben's going to be too much for it," that's taking the mick. So I'll give you an example. So that's what I'm saying. I think these are sort of comments that it winds people up. It would, if you said it about me, it wouldn't bother me. But I can see why someone like Amir Khan would take a dislike in. And Eddie Hearn, this is someone who doesn't box though. Like you don't real. This is the same Eddie Hearn, like you said yourself. He said himself, "Oh yeah, I think Katie Taylor will beat me in a fight." So it's like, well, show some respect. Like you're not a fighter, or you're scared to fight. So it's like, to disrespect people that have boxed at that level, you don't have to like them. I don't like Frank Warren, but I admit Frank is a very intelligent boxing man. He's been in boxing for decades. I won't let personal feelings get in the way. Like, I can't deny what Frank Warren's achieved in boxing, but I think sometimes he tries to downplay people's achievements. I think somebody's into, like, you need to pull him up on it. Like, nobody's scared of Conor Ben. I'll spar Conor Ben tomorrow. Like, if he was going to give me the opportunity, I'm not saying I'm on his level, but listen, I'd flip and spar him. But is he going to spar me? The interest has to be both ways. So what I'm saying about Khan, he's not scared of Conor Ben, but what does he get from sparring Conor Ben? Say, fighting Conor Ben. Like, if I spar Conor Ben, that's great for me. But what's Conor Ben going to get? Nothing. So, this is the thing about Conor and Brook fighting Conor Ben. They've got nothing to gain. There's bigger fights out there. So just like, show some respect. Like Khan's one of the greatest British fighters of all time. Like, show the guy some respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Eddie needs to be humble at times. If he was more humble, they definitely will get further, especially with the American promoters.
Yeah.
So in terms of I was asking you before, what made you after all this time off YouTube, what made you get back into YouTube, especially interviewing boxers again? Because you were with YouTube for quite a while, like just over almost 10 years now. What gave you that buzz again to start boxing and interviewing boxers and get back to the whole YouTube boxing thing?
Yeah, I was away. I sort of stopped doing it for a few years. I just think boxing's a hard sport. The politics has never bothered me. It's not the people. Obviously, boxing's hard. Getting in the ring, sparring, fighting, and I just thought it's not really for me anymore. I sparred Brandon Rios and Kelly Pavlik, and at the time, and obviously they were going very easy. In case anyone was watching this, but even though they were going very easy, I mean, like I say, it wasn't so bad. But as I kept sparring more and more people, obviously I had an idea. I thought if I can spar 20, 30, 40 different professional boxers, I could write a book about it. But I thought it's gonna be hard. Like, even if people spar me, I really fancy getting in there. I met Carl Froch a couple of times. So I mean, imagine sparring Carl Froch. You don't think he's gonna hurt you at some point. So mentally, that's what my mind was like at the time. I just thought, I don't fancy it anymore. If I get in the ring with Carl Froch, I might break my ribs, might break my jaws. That's how I was. I just didn't fancy it. I sparred Fury. Fury went very easy on me, but yeah, I was just different then. But I've changed now, much more ambitious. But take yourself, Yemi. Have you ever boxed before?
No, I've sparred, but no, never boxed.
So when you say you've sparred, how sort of hard did you go, or what kind of level opponent did you spar?
Like I'm a novice. I sparred this guy. He's like amateur. We had about maybe 3, 4 fights. And he got harder than me. It was like more practice, that target practice. I was like, trying to, practice body shots. Trying to, see how if you can take people down with body shots. It was more practice. It wasn't like trying to knock each other out type of sparring. It was trying more like how can I hit him? How good is basically testing out his defense, basically, if you can block his body shots.
Okay. How did you find it? Did you find it
Very,
interesting, or was it difficult?
I thought, yeah, difficult, especially because the stamina, the amount of punch you have to throw per round, and the stamina, that's what I'm struggling, the stamina endurance as well. Because the body shots hurt as well. Body is very, if you can knock people down, body is very easy. The body, particularly the stomach, is very, if you can punch the stomach, you can knock, that's a good way to knock people out is through the body shots, from what I learned. The body is very sensitive as well. The stomach in particular is very sensitive to body shots. A lot of people get knocked out through boxing through a good body shot, as you've seen with the way that Anthony Yarde
Luke
knocked out
Campbell.
Lyndon Arthur and Luke Campbell got knocked out by Ryan Garcia through body shots.
Well, yeah, that's just it. It's simple. I mean, you've sparred, so you've got an idea, but I've changed. I'm back now, and basically over the next 4 or 5 years, I want to try and spar 30, 40 big name boxers and write a book about it, write about their careers and so on. But the reason I stopped back then was right now, I'd love to spar Carl Froch. I'm sure it's going to happen someday. Just keep working my way up. But the person I was back then, mentally, I said to myself, I don't want to get in the ring with Carl Froch because if I get in there, any of them, Froch, Tony Bellew, whoever, I thought I just don't fancy it. I mean, you've been in the ring with someone who's had 4 amateur bouts, you've said, and you know what that was like. So I just thought boxing's not for me anymore. It's not like football or tennis, but boxing, you're getting punched up. But yeah, I'm different now. I've become much more ambitious and obviously not just sparring, but obviously I've had fights. I've had 4 white collar fights this year. I got fights next year, and you know, yeah, that's what basically why I'm back. I wanna do things in boxing.
In the meantime, what were you doing in the mean? Those 10 years after YouTube, what were you doing in the meantime? How you keep it up? Were you just working? Were you at school?
Yeah, just life really. I think I stopped in 2014. Yeah, I went to East Africa, I went to Eritrea for about 6 months. Yeah, just working really, just living life, making mistakes, wasting life if I'm honest. But um again, yeah, much different now. I'm much more focused. I've been studying, and eventually I want to go to university. And
Okay.
something I want to say to a lot of people watching this. Obviously set up YouTube channels, do your thing. But for me, I aspire to more. And, not just doing YouTube, but, like I want to study economics, and I want to look for positions in boxing. If the opportunity comes up, great. If not, I'll go to whatever I think the best opportunity for me is, whether it's inside boxing or outside boxing. But I just think you've got to change your life around. Read books like, if you read Jordan Peterson, but obviously a lot of people just they don't aspire in life. They just sort of settle for the basics. It's like we talk about celebrities. People generally worship and look up to celebrities, but why not try and take that same energy and apply it to your own life? So for me, where I've recently met a lot of these people, I've met Dave Coldwell, I've met Andy. Well, Dave Coldwell, I first met him over 10 years ago. Same with Eddie Hearn. I first met him over 10 years ago. Same with Derek Chisora. I met him more like 8, 9 years ago. And where you've seen these people have achieved so much success, don't you want to drive yourself in life? Don't you want to get to that next level? And yeah, not just yourself, yeah, me and just anyone watching this video.
Absolutely. You mentioned it when you originally going to uni. Are you thinking about uni to go economics, or what's your plans with the whole uni thing?
I want to study economics. Yeah,
Okay.
no,
Are you
it's
quite
just
into the because economics? I actually went to uni myself. I did marketing at uni, but because of business degree, part of my degree was I did a course in economics. So economics is something I studied quite a lot in school as well, because I did business a lot in school. So economics is very fascinating, economics, especially studying global economies, like America, like especially like the global globalization of of companies, and studying like the rise of the BRIC country like Brazil, India, China, India. It's fascinating that how and studying different currencies like the dollar and the yen and the rupees, and how the bank can creates prints paper, which causes hyperinflation, and it causes economic turmoils.
I think economics is a fascinating subject, and I would say I'll keep it as short as I can. But I think the economic model for boxing is not very good, because we've spoken about this. But you got a sport, the best aren't fighting the best. You got Joshua Fury, that fight's been talked about for 8 years. So that's something I want to try and bring to boxing. I want to try and explain how this can be helped, that can be improved. We can go and we can talk all evening, but the corrupt judges, and try and figure out how boxing's gone backwards. Where in the Muhammad Ali days, you had Ali, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray, like these guys were massive sort of global. I mean, they were businesses in themselves. Basically, they were huge. But whereas boxing these days, let's just say Lerone Richards. I think the other night he's shown he's one of the best fighters in his division, but obviously he's not really his brand is not very big. Okay, so I'll give you a better. So take Eubank Ben days. The one you mentioned, Nassim Hamed. These guys were huge. Well, you think prime Eubank Ben and Nassim Hamed could walk the streets of London without getting recognised?
I'll
No
say that.
chance. But if you take Lerone Richards, I'd bet a significant amount of money he could walk around London 24 hours straight. So I don't mean that in a disrespectful sense, but this is a sort of approach I want to bring to boxing.
Same.
I'm
I
trying
can
to see
guarantee you that half of
so
London don't know who Lawrence Coley is. Lawrence Coley, and he's a cruiserweight champion. You consider one of the
no
best in the
chance.
division.
Or even the heavyweights. How many people would recognize Huey Fury or Joe Joyce?
Or Daniel Dubois, yeah.
But if you compare them, if you want to talk about heavyweights, if you compare them to the British heavyweights we've had, Frank Bruno, Lennox Lewis, Henry Cooper. So I want to try and bring this approach
Yeah,
to
those are
boxing.
national treasures. Those are treated national treasures. Those ones back in the day. Frank Bruno was treated as national treasure. Everybody loved him. The British public adored him.
Yeah. And this is the approach I want to try and bring to boxing and help people maximize their opportunities, try and explain to them about building your fan base, building your profile. And I'll give you a quick, I've said this about the YouTube channels. People like Coogan and Michelle Joy Phelps, a lot of them are scared to sort of give predictions or say things which might upset fighters. But I want to try and explain, let's say someone like Shannon Courtney, she's not the most likable person. And I'll tell her that to her face. And my advice to her would be, is something I think you should work on. Like I'm sure with me, there's stuff that I could work on, but I'll try and explain to them, if you want to shun people like Coogan and Michelle if they say to you, "Oh, you're not the most likable person," if you shun them, it doesn't change reality. It doesn't solve the problem. Because like Shannon Corney, you're getting older and older. Your life, your career is drifting away. Oh, and if you look at Ebony Bridges, this is what I'm trying to say. This woman has come to this country and look at a massive impact she's had.
Yeah.
She's come here.
She's no more, loved more, and she's not even a champion. She's not even British. She's Australian. She's a foreigner, and she's more loved by the British public than you are.
This is what I'm trying to say, and it's not. And this is without going into detail, but I think I can build fighters' careers. But I'm only going to do it if I think people in boxing, if they're willing to give me the opportunities, and if I get on with people. If you don't like me, I'll just go to somewhere else. But obviously, a lot of people in boxing are very negative. That's what I'm trying to say. Like Ebony Bridges has come here. She's put events where you got to buy tickets to meet her. Like that's just like
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know
well,
whether to clap or
my
like.
heart goes off to her.
No, but
Absolutely.
again, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But a lot of boxers, because you're around a lot of like British boxing people. They're very old fashioned. They're very stubborn. They're not willing to change. They're not open to new ideas. And that's something I want to try and explain to these fighters. So Shannon Courtney is the perfect example. Look, at the end of the day, everyone's human. I'm not, listen, I don't hate her. I don't dislike her. But I just, she needs someone like me to try and open up, try and, like, when you lost to Jamie Mitchell, I think the name was, like, listen, you lost. Like, I lost the fight this year. I watched the fight back. I definitely think I lost the fight to Kyle Downey. Listen, I think the first round was okay, but then once my legs got tired, he dominated the rest of the fight. So, don't start saying this stuff about, oh, I won the fight, I got robbed. No, you didn't get robbed. And obviously, it put a lot of people off when she said that. So, but that's just one example. I'm not trying to have a go at her. Stuff like, I think more fighters just try and come up with T-shirts, start trying to come up with branding.
Yeah,
Look at
branding felt better. The thing
Ebony
about Ebony
Bridges.
I love as well is that she can handle criticism. She's a professional, especially with criticism. She says she works with criticism. Even over social media, she welcomes it. She knows how to handle it. She knows that it's part of the business. She doesn't take it personal. It's always business with her. She's a true professional, Ebony. That's what I like about her. I'm not surprised why she's successful with social media, because she talks well, she brands herself well. If you criticize her, she don't block you. If you criticize her, she handles her criticism well and just moves on. Very, very
Well,
professional.
okay. Yeah, but I'll keep it. All right, this is something I can articulate very well. What a lot of fighters don't understand. So you live in a boxing bubble. You train at the gym. You go to boxing media events. Thing is, yeah, you're surrounded by professional. You're surrounded by boxing people. You're surrounded by people that are making money off you. When you come into the real world, you're going to realize most people don't really care about boxing, and they're not going to, like, especially me. I do care about boxing, but I don't care about telling a fighter to their face what I call. I'm always polite, but if I think you're going to lose the fight, like I told Zelfa Barrett, I told him I think you lost to Martinez. He didn't like it, but I told him. I told him on camera. But a lot of them don't seem to grasp. You can't just walk around and Southern area. Yeah, but people, you're not going to get the reaction from people that you think you will. You can get it from Coogan because Coogan's got a brand that he's just trying to get interviews. He'll put up with it, or Eddie Hearn will put up with it because Eddie Hearn's just trying to get you on his show. But it's not going to work in the real world. Because how many people even know what a Southern area champion is? They're not going to care. So when you've got this out, because some of these boxers are arrogant people, you've got to control that. Because if you come out into the real world, if you come up to people like me, like I feel like someone like Shane McGuigan, yeah, I've met him, he seems all right, but I don't really care about getting access to his gym. If he wants to give me access, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
If you don't, all right, mate, I'm not fussed. The only person in boxing I'd be desperate to interview, not even Mayweather, I don't even care about. The only person I'd be desperate is Mike Tyson. That's the only person. If I said something to upset him, I'm not saying I'm scared of Mike Tyson, even though I should be, but he's the only person I'd be gutted. Like if I said anything to upset him, I'd be gutted. But if you're talking about people like Shane McGuigan or Ben Davidson or what's his name, Josh Taylor, if they said, "Oh, you know what, I'm not going to give you an interview because you speak the truth," all right, mate, don't give me an interview. Like this is something I want to try and help, but like you got to be more. Like what you said about Ebony Bridges, yeah, but people are not trying to insult you; they're just giving their opinion. You don't need to be a boxer to give an opinion on who won a fight. I'm just giving an opinion. It's not, but that's something boxers need to be more. They need to be more respectful of. Everyone's got an opinion, and you know
So
you don't have
potentially,
to if you don't. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
you're thinking of becoming a boxing manager.
Yeah, if the opportunity came up, or even a boxing promoter, I think I'd be excellent at that.
Okay, okay, okay. That's, any names of the company? What would you call it?
I haven't really thought of any names yet because have you heard of a guy called Sam Jones?
Yes, yes. SGM Boxing. Yeah, SGM Boxing. Yeah, he used to
I
manage
watched
Joe Joyce.
that's it. I watched an interview he did the other day, and well, obviously I'd want to work my way up in boxing, and I'm happy to work for someone else. I don't think I think boxing promoting is not as complicated as people make it out to be, and I understand boxing well enough that I think I do a better
If you're a
job
boxing
than.
promoter, very cutthroat, so very ruthless. Like, that's why a lot of boxing promoters don't last long. Only a handful have lasted ages that I've heard.
Yeah, it's true. I'll true, but I just think a lot of them are generally. It is a cutthroat sport, but that's why obviously that's why I'd prefer to work my way up first.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of them make mistakes that I don't think I would make. Like say if you take Eddie Hearn, I tried saying this to Eddie Hearn on camera. So I said to Eddie Hearn, "Why do you talk so much?" And then he jumped in. He didn't give me a chance to finish talking, and then he took it in a different direction. So he was trying to say the reason he talks so much is people keep asking for interviews. I said, no, that's not what I meant. Eddie Hearn talks too much about things that haven't happened yet. He talks too far ahead. So as I said, just little things like saying stuff about Khan, saying stuff about Brooke, saying things about Ellaby. And I'm not having a go at Eddie Hearn, but I just think these are sort of problems that I don't think sort of mistakes I don't think I would make because, like I say, you just get too personal with people. I don't think fights are hard to make, but I don't think you should talk about fights on camera. If you know this guy from Sky Sports, Ben Shalom, being he's come along, he's already made two big fights: Eubank, Liam Williams. He's made Khan Book. if you're trying to promote fighters, try and just do it behind closed doors. When you're doing it on camera, you're gonna get all these voices jumping in. This fighter, that fighter, the dad, the uncle, the rival teams, the managers, the. I mean, then you got fight hype. You got behind the gloves creating all this conflict. Yeah, I don't think promoting is complicated. I just think it needs someone like me where I can bring the voice of reason. That's what I'm trying to say. I can try and tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me what you think. But it needs someone like me or someone like you who can just try and
Back
say
in the day, remember, didn't like Jay-Z, the rapper Jay-Z, and I 50 Cent both tried to enter the boxing thing, but they gave up. I think they gave up far too soon.
But
Mm.
that's, in my opinion, from what I know. I don't know a lot. I remember when Jay-Z done that. But actually, I'm quite sure I know what the answer is. They thought they were just going to come in and take over boxing. Like, I don't know if you remember, they were signing people up and
Yeah.
they were overpaid, like Rigondeaux. And in my opinion, I think, but I'm not trying to take over
Well,
boxing.
Rigondeaux was signed to. Well, who was Rigondeaux signed to? Was it Jay-Z or
It was
Christopher?
what was his name again? Jay-Z, Rock Nation, Rock
Yeah,
Nation
Jay-Z.
Sports.
Yeah.
So they came along, they signed Rigondeaux, they signed Ward. The problem with boxing, a lot of people think they can take boxing over. Like Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn said, "I'm going to take over America." Blah blah blah. I'm gonna become the Dana White of boxing. That's never going to happen. If it was going to happen, well, Eddie Hearn's been around boxing since he was a boy. You've been promoting fights for over 10 years. You're not even dominating. Like you can't even control the UK. Tyson Fury doesn't like you. And I don't blame him because I think you've said too many personal things. So if you can't even dominate the UK, so not dominate, yeah, if you can't even dominate the UK, you're not going to dominate America. So I'd say the difference between me and Jay-Z and these other people, in my opinion, I don't think I've got an ego. I'm just trying to work my way up, play my position, and I'm not trying to take over. I'm happy to, apart from Frank Warren, I'm happy to work with anyone. I'm happy to work, well, not even with, I'm happy to work for anyone as well.
Let
So
me ask you
I
another
say that's,
question about
so
flip-flop. Is it true from my research that the person who shot Frank Warren back in the day was actually one of his former boxers? Or is that still a myth? Probably Frank knows he shot him, but for legal reasons or for PR reasons, he doesn't want to tell who actually shot him back in the day. I heard the rumor was that Terry Marsh, but apparently that was
Larry Marsh.
even nonsense. He was proved not guilty. But the rumor is that he's still apparently one of his former boxers that shot him back in the day.
I don't mind talking about it. I'll give you an honest answer. It's before my time, but obviously, yeah, the rumor, what everyone says is it's Terry Marsh. I know Terry Marsh was found innocent, but it doesn't mean anything. I know someone on a personal level, nothing to do with Frank, but I know someone who once they broke a law, they went to court for it, but there wasn't enough evidence to convict. Like, even though they definitely did it, well, I knew this guy on a personal level. It didn't kill anybody, but um, but I'll tell you what it was. He threatened to kill people because he's got a temper, but threatening to kill people is illegal. And then what happened was the people he threatened, to them is just they didn't really care anymore, so they chose not to testify, so they got away with it. So listen, it could be anything. Yeah, I'll give you straight answer. It probably was Terry Marsh, but Frank's from that sort of don't snitch generation. So
Yeah,
obviously to him,
Frank's, he's from Bethnal Green. He's from, the hoods of London, East End. So he has those connections.
I will give him credit though. I'll say something nice about Frank. I'm surprised he let it go. If that was me, if you try shooting me, I'll do everything to get you back. I won't care what anyone's got to say. I'll testify against you in court. I'll send people. Like if I had Frank Warren's money, I wouldn't show any mercy. So I give Frank credit on that. Someone tries to shoot you and mate, I'll say it in every single video. I'll get on a t-shirt. Terry Marsh shot me. So I give him credit. But yeah, if it was me, no, I'm not letting it go.
I'm sorry to keep on Frank Warren, but
No, that's all right. Go on.
I know Eddie all keeps him going on about Frank's his finances, Frank's going broke. Chris Bowie doesn't barely sell any tickets anymore. But how did Frank afford to find Tyson Fury then if Frank's going broke? I'm a bit confused. The whole Frank's struggling financially. I know he's not doing well as he used to back in the '90s, but if Frank's struggling financially, how is he still able to sign like Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois, George Joyce? How is he still able to fund these fighters in these fights if he's gone broke? I'm a bit confused.
That's right. You can ask me anything. I know we're just two people talking. Well, look, Frank's definitely in debt because when Eddie Hearn said that, if you look at Company's House, I went on Company's House, so you can check all the businesses in this country. And yeah, Frank Warren's in millions of pounds of debt, so he's definitely in debt. How did he afford Fury? Well, you remember last year, Fury was supposed to fight. I forget who it was,
Oh, Cabiel, I think
but
Cabiel.
I think that's the guy. I actually went to Fury's gym for that. I went to see him. I don't know if you ever saw the video I did with him last year.
No, I've seen that one now.
I sparred Jose Burton, his cousin, and Tyson was in the gym. He was watching. But yeah, I spoke to him, and he was training for that fight. So he didn't want me to film him on camera. But that fight fell through for financial reasons. So Frank's definitely going through financial problems. I think the reason Tyson's gone to him is, as I say, Eddie Hearn's just a silly Eddie Hearn's not the wisest person. Like you keep getting on people's nerves. So now Tyson don't really want to work with you. You mentioned these other people like Dubois and well, I mean, look, Frank's got a way of pulling through. Obviously, he gets people invest in him. You've got the BT money. Paper. Well, so that fight wasn't on pay-per-view, was it? But he's found a way to survive. But he's definitely going through financial problems.
Do you think?
But
Do you think Frank? Was it for Tyson? Frank would have gone bust? Could we have been no more? Was it for Free signed to them? You think Free what's kept
probably,
Queensbury afloat?
yeah, probably I would say so. I just think Frank's fallen out with so many people, but he's not. A lot of his shows haven't been good. I mean, I think the Yard Arthur
Arthur.
rematch was good. Yeah, it was a good rematch. But then a lot of these shows, they're not really, they're not selling a lot of tickets to it. And then that's part of the Like long term, it's difficult to keep that going. You got to pay the fighters, you got to pay your employees. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Frank can survive in boxing?
Without Tyson, no. If Tyson leaves Frank, I think Frank's done for. That's I don't know. If Tyson leaves, because whilst Dubois, Joyce, no, no, I don't know. And Joyce might leave Frank too if he doesn't get his some fights made soon as well. I know. I think Fury's the only person there that's keeping Frank alive with Kingsbury.
Well, you got a lot of competition. You got Sky Sports, Boxer. You've got Pro Bellum, MTK.
Speaking about promoters, Eddie, do you think Eddie is doing worse now without Sky backing him? Do you think a big part of Eddie's success was Sky? Because a lot of people think like Eddie should have stayed with Sky and not signed with DAZN because DAZN is not where he needs to be in terms of promotion. Because that Sky News platform getting matching that mega promotion, that 25 promotion to help promote those big fights, those big pay-per-view fights and matchroom. Do you think that? Do you think Sky is without Sky, Eddie is in a worse position than he was when he was with Sky?
Oh yeah, definitely 100%. Yeah, it's definitely worse. I don't know.
Do
That's what I'm
you buy the
saying.
zone yourself? Are you into the zone? Do you think the zone was a good business deal?
I haven't subscribed to it. I'd say the concept is good, but then it depends if you're getting quality fights. As I say, I'm not. like I say, once certain things start happening for me in life, college, university, like I'll still be involved in boxing, but it's like, the thing is, yeah, they've underestimated. There's not as many hardcores as you think. And for me, on a personal level, like, don't think I'm not stupid. Don't think, like, I don't care if it's $7.99 a month. I'm not gonna, like. Don't think you're gonna get me to subscribe to the Zone if you're giving me like what we've been giving me lately. Chantel Cameron fight, the Chisora Parker 2. It turned out to be a good fight, but on paper, I thought, probably another boring fight. But it turned so for me on a personal level, I'm not going to pay $7.99. And I mean, this is the problem he's got. Are people going to subscribe to the Zone at the rate they need them to? Because I mean, what else you got? Katie Taylor, Conor Ben, you
I don't
know.
think, and I said this before, I don't think Eddie can afford it. AJ won't sign to the Zone about pay-per-view. No. That's why AJ is still with Sky, because no, I don't think the Zone can afford to pay AJ that money about pay-per-view. And I'm not too sure that the Zone may do pay-per-view, but I'm not too sure AJ will take the risk, because Sky have still got the pavilion, are still the best platform in terms of promoting fights on the pay-per-view platform, where the Zone's unproven.
Yeah, but it's just common sense. I could have told Eddie Hearn this because, yeah, but you're not. How are you going to match pay-per-view money? I mean, same for me. If I was a fighter, if I was on that level, if I was making that kind of money, you're not going to get me to come over to the Zone because that means less money. Without pay-per-view. I mean, like, I could be wrong. Maybe we're missing something. They might turn things around, but it's going to be hard to match pay-per-view on
And,
Sky Sports.
and don't lose the money as well. Apparently, the Zone loses quite a bit, losing millions and millions of pounds per year.
Oh yeah. But then this is something I've read in business. But what happens a lot of the time, people will go into a market and they don't mind taking losses early on if they think they can make the money back long term. But I just don't really think it's working out. I mean, you can't match the sort of mainstream appeal of Sky Sports because they've got football, they've got all the other sports.
And
You
boxing
never
is
see.
it's not big enough to just to focus on boxing alone. You need football, you
Well,
need Premier League football, you need maybe
yeah,
UFC
but
as well.
boxing's a joke sport. Like, you don't, the way it's promoted, the way I mean, even the industry doesn't respect its own athletes.
Yeah.
A fighter loses once, he's this and he's that. But you look at other sports, like I say, football, people ride with their team for life. The wife, the kids, like everyone. You see people walk around with Arsenal clothing or Manchester or Leeds. You don't see people walking around wearing Matchroom t-shirts. So I mean, but look at football. They're regularly packing out stadiums. I've never been to a football game, but I took a look. I took a look online recently. I'm trying to get hold of some Arsenal tickets, but then it's like all the games are sold out, sold out, sold out. To even get a ticket, you got to sign up, and then you got to pay for the annual membership. I'm like, this is long. Whereas in boxing, I think the Kid Galahad show, like, they were giving tickets away apparently.
Free of charge.
And yeah, Kid Galahad versus Martinez, yeah, free of charge. And then the show wasn't even sold out. So, but it's just common sense where most people in boxing don't have common sense. Boxing's not there yet. It's like, but you're not even doing a good job. Where you've got, as I said, I keep talking about Hearn Ellaby, but then you've got Hearn Ellaby, that's being talked about more than actual fights. And
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, like Hearn versus Ellaby. Well, but it's all talk. It's not really gonna happen.
The biggest boxing right now outside of Canelo and AJ is Jake Paul, a YouTuber. It shows how far boxing's gone down. Most people care about a YouTuber fighting than they actually care about actual legit boxing fighting.
But boxing, as I say, it's gone backwards. You look at Henry Cooper, but I said we're not seeing the same. Look, we're not seeing the same effort in boxing. It's not being built up properly. It's not. Basically, you're just getting people together based on how famous they are. Oh, Ebony Bridges, a woman who, well, forgive me for saying, Ebony Bridges, look at her in her underwear. Campbell Hatton, the son of Ricky Hatton. Who's the other one? Conor Benn, the son of Nigel Benn. But how many exciting fights are these people win? They're not. It's not. So what I'm saying, it's not. If you're just going to keep trying to base fighters, if you're going to build fighters based on fame, but the magic, there's no magic anymore. Like it's all shadows and dust. It's not like other sports, because if you play for Arsenal, you know that they're going to be certain caliber to get to that level. If you play for, and in those other sports, let's just say football, but you're seeing so many contests on a regular basis. I take football. How many times do you see football trending? I think Arsenal are playing, is it today or tomorrow? You got all these games for free, and then at the end of the season, you got the Champions League, you got the FA Cup. But in boxing, everything's behind a paywall, especially America. But people are not watching these American fight cards. Like you're not, or say in the UK, but who's going to pay for? I think was Kid Galahad on pay-per-view.
No, no, it's on the zone.
Okay, but you still got to subscribe for that.
Yeah, £8 a month. Yeah.
Listen, I've sparred Kid Galahad before. Yeah, like we had a little move around. He went easy on me, but I'm not going to pay for the zone like for that. Same with Khan Book. I think it's a good fight. If I can get a ticket, I'll go. But I'm not fussed. I'm not going to pay. For me on a personal level, I'll be honest, I'm not going to pay-per-view for that fight. I think it's a really good fight. I do want to see it. I might go around a friend's house and watch it, but I'm trying to say boxing's behind pay-per-view so much. You're asking us to pay £20 here, £20. For how often is this? How it's too much stuff's behind a paywall. Doesn't that put you off?
American boxing has been worse pay-per-view, especially with the PBC. Like, who's paying for Luz Ortiz versus Charles Martin on pay-per-view? Keith Thurman versus is it Marius? Is it Barrios? That's on pay-per-view.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Keith Thurman next fight. These are ridiculous. Who's paying $80 to watch Keith Thurman versus a C-level fighter or B-level fighter at best, or watching Luz Ortiz versus Charles Martin, but the worst heavyweight champion of all time? Like, I don't get, what is promoters' logical thinking? They see that boxing promote lost sense of how to what pay-per-view, what's not pay-per-view. They understand what the criteria is. Pay-per-view is only for the big fights. Luz Ortiz versus Charles Martin, not a big fight. Why are you paying $80 to watch Luz Ortiz fight a journeyman?
I'm not.
Crazy.
And this is just part, without going on, but this is one of my aspirations where I want to try and become involved in boxing. I want to try and become the guy that can tell people this and just give you a reality check. This stuff's not worth it's not worth paying for. It's like me sparring Kell Brook. I've put that video on my YouTube channel. It's got 8,000 views, but guess what? It's free to watch. I'm not going to charge people to. I'm sure some people would pay, but I'm not. To be honest, even if I fought a lot of, it's just sparring. I don't think it's fair to charge people for that. So I'd say this is the problem with boxing. Like everyone's just greedy, you know. Even Porky's Corner, well, he's got a members area where he charges people. They have to pay a monthly subscription to listen to his videos. I mean, it's up to him. It's his right. But, you know, I told him this before. Like, I don't really think it's fair to charge people to listen to what you have to say. Because if you're going to have a go at Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, then you're doing the same thing. But a lot of people in boxing are greedy. And, you know, Luis Ortiz, like, listen, I'm not paying to watch Luis Ortiz. I might not even watch the highlights. Just, you know, I just don't really care about that fight.
Yeah, it's like, you know, pay-per-view. People don't like, it's just pay-per-view. It's going, you know, it's just going overboard. Too many pay-per-views for the wrong fighters. For mismatches. You just, especially nowadays, a lot of these boxing fights, the outcome of their fight. You know, like Tank versus Isaac Cruz. You knew Tank was going to beat him. You knew Parker was going to beat Chisora. All these fights. Yeah, very rarely now you get those 50-50 fights that you crave of the past.
But look, there's no, with football, all this stuff, like take Luis Ortiz, yeah, in football, that will just be another match to watch for free. Yeah. And then the thing the thing boxing doesn't get, which I think I can explain it to people, in football, because these people are playing consistently, when it comes to the FA Cup final or if you look at the recent Euros, so World Cup or was it Euros in football?
Euros.
Yeah, so I've only started following football recently, but you take the Euros. What it is, because these people are playing consistently, by the time it comes to the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, you've got momentum. So everyone's going to be tuned in. On the 20th of May, we're going to have or whatever it is, we're going to have the final between Chelsea and Manchester United. And because you've seen them playing, it creates momentum where it's like you've been waiting for it. And now, boom, in boxing, that's what I'm trying to say. The pay-per-view should be the one after, like you put them on card after card for free. And then once you've had momentum, then you can make it pay-per-view. Like, you know what I mean? Like Khan Brook at their prime, that would have been pay-per-view. Liam Williams versus Chris Eubank. Is it pay-per-view? Not on its own, but it's a great, as a support for a pay-per-view. Like, I mean, let's just say for argument's sake, if you had a time machine, Khan Brook in the main event, prime, Liam Williams versus Eubank as a pay-per-view support. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like take Anthony Yard versus Buatsi. On its own, I don't think it's pay-per-view, but that's like a pay-per-view worthy card as a pay-per-view. So this I'm trying to, you need, because to me, I want to see who wins, Yard or Buatsi. But it's not, there has to be momentum. Always about Chisora versus Parker. It's nah, I've already seen that fight before. You know, there's no momentum, there's no magic. It's not okay. Look, I'm not old enough to remember, but it's like when people used to talk about Mike Tyson and they used to get everyone around, oh yeah, let's all go around, come my house. And you could have parties to watch the Mike Tyson fights. But that's what's missing in boxing now. There's no magic anymore. Like a pay-per-view should have like 5, 6 good fights. Go look at Don King. Whatever people say about Don King, go look at the sort of cards that guy used to put on. You'd have like 5, 6, 7, 8, or even Frank Warren back in the day. I forget which card, but didn't he have like Nassim Hamid and Nigel Benn on the same course? I've got to go back and check. But there's not enough quality. There's not enough quality. And you're just trying to do it all based on, oh, Derek is always going to chuck a table, or oh, Campbell Hatton, his dad's like, just put on good quality ability. Look at football. Like, do you see footballers do that sort of thing in football? They don't need to chuck tables, and they just play quality football. Anything else, tennis or athletics, like Usain Bolt. I mean, look how massive he was. But you don't see him doing all this stupid circus
Yeah,
acts.
all these gimmicks. All these, all these marketing gimmicks.
Yeah, but it's just too much gimmicks. I take Derek when he chucked that table at Dylan. I remember Tyson Fury was once told to chuck a table, but you're getting too many gimmicks. And I'm not. Look, am I supposed to be impressed? Oh my god, you can throw a table. I could do it as well. Like if I was there, I could probably. I don't. What it means you're going to be a good. It's going to. Doesn't mean it's going to be a good fight. There's too many gimmicks. But you haven't given us Joshua Fury. You haven't given us Khan Brook Prime. But there's so many fights. Just I could go on all night, but give us Errol Spence versus Crawford. Give us what other fights can I think of? All right, Yard Buatsi. If you just keep creating that sort of quality, and look, it's a short point. If fighters in this country, if they can see that this is the quality to which we aspire, if they know that the path is there, you're going to see a massive change. But right now, fighters don't know what to do, because you're telling them if you want to become big, you got to be the next Jake Paul. Yeah, but you know how difficult it is to get 20 million subscribers. Like, so it's not realistic. You take someone like Liam Williams. I don't care about Liam Williams' personality. I don't care. Well, if I go to Tesco's, you really think I care about their personality? Liam Williams is a boxer. Just box. But when you're trying to force every fighter to do novelties, as you said, or all these circus tactics, then it dilutes the product. It dilutes the. But I've said enough anyway.
Yeah, definitely. It takes away from the talent and it focuses on too much on gimmicks instead of talent, on the wrong things.
Yeah.
But fortunately,
What would you?
I guess a boxer fan nowadays care more about the gimmicks rather than the actual talent of the fighter.
What would you do to change boxing? Yeah.
Definitely, make sure the best fight the best. Try to teach fighters to use the social media, like how to use social media effectively. Try to get rid of these politics between promoters. Make sure that promoters work with each other rather than work separately in houses, and emphasize that that being defeated doesn't make you a crap fighter. It's about who you fight, and as long as you fight the best, and you learn from mistakes, you still be considered a good fighter.
Yeah.
Because you don't fight the best, your legacy, in my opinion, you don't have a legacy to leave behind. So you just an average fighter at best. It's an average job.
Yeah, just to me, I think the Canelo fights have been massive events, and that's all you need. Just get these big fights on. Like you got the lightweights, Lomachenko, Lopez, Haney, Ryan Garcia, Javante Davis. Just get all these guys fighting each other. Do that in all the divisions. Have less belts. Have a champion. And if there's one champion, like you're going to be hungry. You're going to be. So when I go to press conferences, every press conference I've been to, like Matchroom, everyone's hungry for an Eddie Hearn interview. I'm telling you, you'll see a line of people. Okay, I'll tell you a true story. I got no reason to make this up. I went to the Matchroom press conference for Liam Smith, Anthony Fowler. I saw Tasha Jonas outside. I interviewed her, but there was an absolute queue. There was a queue for Eddie Hearn. But with Tasha Jonas, who's an actual fighter, there's not really a queue. I'm not saying she didn't get interviewed. Like, I interviewed her, IFL interviewed her, but compared to Eddie Hearn, like that was an absolute queue. And I won't be surprised when you get some of these Betfred, Paddy Power, some of these people coming down, they probably don't even know who she is. I'm telling you, some of these people just walking past her, like if I have to be honest. And I thought, and so I'm saying there has to be that same hunger, like where you've.
Unfortunately, boxing, you have a personality. If you're not a knockout artist, unfortunately, boxing don't care about you because at the time, remember Tom Little?
Of course.
There was a time that, especially Coogan was obsessed with all interviewing Tom Little for his opinion. I guess Tom Little was all driven views because he had quite an outgoing personality. Tom Little was interviewed more. Tom Little was interviewed more times when he was fighting, more so than a lot of these, boxing champions. Because I think seeing Tom Little being interviewed more times than I've even seen something like Demetrius Andre being interviewed, Devin Haney being interviewed. Like the boxing media has a fascination with certain fighters like Tom Little, Dave Allen. These gentlemen, because they talk a lot and have a lot of antics, people interview them.
It's true. Like I said, the point I was trying to make, I'll answer your point. I was just trying to say, if you had that one champion, everyone would be hungry to beat that person.
Yeah.
I was trying to say that, but it's like with Eddie Hearn. Everyone's desperate to get an Eddie Hearn interview, but you're not seeing that same passion in fighters. I want to see fighters hungry to get the belt. And yeah, going back to what you said, that's just part of boxing. Tom Little, I've met him before. I don't know a lot about him, but I do know Dave Allen. Like Dave Allen can do numbers. And the problem with boxing, obviously, a lot of people try and chase numbers. They'll try and chase Dave Allen. Yeah, they'll try and go for the Dave Allen interviews, but like if it was me, if I was interviewing him, I'd put it on him. In fact, I've said this before. I think Dave Allen's a joke in the sense. I think he's a nice guy, but I don't like the fact that he said before in interviews. People have told me, "How can you get a professional boxer that openly says I don't train? Like, what kind of rubbish is that?" But then you're on pay-per-view cards, so you don't train, but you're getting people's money. So I don't like that about him. I'm not saying I don't like him per se, but why was he allowed to get away with saying things like that? Well, if you don't want to train, then don't get off the pay-per-view cards.
The thing is, people like Dave Allen, Tom Little, even though they're not talented boxers, they get more airtime than the actual champion. Because I swear on IFL TV and these boxing social, those particular fighters have had more interviews than Callum Smith. I don't see Callum Smith being interviewed rarely, only if he's fighting.
Well, from what I know of these people, Cougans and these lot, yeah, but they just chase views. And it's not like with me. If it was me, I'd put it on you. So if I was to interview Dave Allen, I'd just tell him I'd tell him, I think you're a joke because when you're saying you don't train and you're a professional boxer, I just think that's a disgrace. And, I don't, people letting him get away with that. But one thing, Coogan and these, they just chase views though. They're not going to ask them challenging interviews. They're not going to say to them, but why are you not training? You're supposed to do your job. Well, isn't that a job requirement? So if I go to a restaurant and they serve you some cold food, I wouldn't appreciate it. Well, I went to an Italian restaurant like not too long ago. I paid £20. Yeah, it was okay, but if I'm paying £20, like the least you could do is obviously cook it properly. So that's what I say about boxing. Like if you keep going on boxing cards, well, pay-per-view card, but you could at least train. But yeah, going back to what you say, but a lot of people in boxing, they'll use you for views or they'll use you to benefit themselves.
I barely see Kate Taylor getting interviewed. Kate Taylor meant to be the best female fighter on the planet right now, or at least in Britain, and no interviews her. That's when she's fighting. I guess because she doesn't bring the views in for these channels.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I just think these YouTube channels, they don't really care about boxing per se. They're just doing it to make money and do views. Whereas, if I was interviewing these sort of people, I'd ask you challenging questions, but as I said, that's part of why I've changed because unless I can change boxing, then, it's frustrating to deal with stuff like that. As I say, take Dave Allen. I mean, look at football. If you're not turning up for your training sessions, they're not going to let you play, are they?
Yeah.
But, so I think that's the way boxing. So that's one of the issues I've got with Dave Allen. I'm sure he's a nice enough person, but these are questions they should be asking him. Like to me, you're mugging off fans. Where you're saying you don't train, but you keep going on pay-per-view cards. Well, boxing's your job. I don't understand. When I go to work, I'm supposed to do my job. I don't like it, but obviously that's what I'm getting paid for. Is you got to do it. So, but that's just how people in boxing are. Views. They just chase the views.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about views, gimmicks, rather than the actual talent.
Yeah, it's just part of it. Yeah, me. So, what are your own plans in boxing? What are you trying to do?
Trying to go on my boxing channel, trying to get at least 1,000 subscribers, and just hopefully I get to the point where I can actually interview people like actual boxers and promoters, and actually go to boxing events and actually interview people at events. So a bit of what you do and what people want, like try to be like yourself, like become more of a journalist, interview people inside people in boxing, and try to get into the events as well eventually.
What are you doing to push your brand?
At the moment, I'm just doing videos at the moment. I do like two, three videos a week. I'm just doing reviews of boxing fights, like where we be Matchroom or Frank Long's fights or fights in America. I'm just doing like 2 videos a week at the moment in boxing. Eventually, I do want to interview more people, like more insiders into boxing as well. That's my next goal, try to get more guests on my channel.
It's not difficult, just work your way up. I think you've got two people so far. So you've interviewed Porky's Corner
Yeah.
and you've interviewed myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both obviously got bigger YouTube channels than yours. But you just work your way up. You just keep have you ever watched Hatman Strikes Back?
Yes.
I think last time I checked, I don't really watch him anymore, but obviously I've known of his channel for a long time. I think he's got. I don't really watch other people's videos anymore. I can figure things out for myself. But I think he's got about 70,000 subscribers, something like that. And he doesn't interview people. So yeah, you don't necessarily need to interview people, but in my opinion, just know just work on the quality of your own videos.
Yeah, definitely.
Just take it. Yeah,
Try
just
to
take it
create
day
more,
at a
try to
time.
get engaging content, try to create more innovative content for watch users who want to watch your channel, trying to be more creative with your content, make it as engaging as possible.
Yeah, or just take it a day at a time. Start trying to, I'd say try and build it from a fan's point of view, build the audience, and I know and then just try to reach people in boxing, try and talk to. I'll keep it short, but as I said, I think most fighters are not the most they're not the most intelligent people, and then the problem is they're listening to people like the Coogans of the world, the Coogans, the Leonard Ellerbys, and but these people aren't going to give you good advice. And as I said, the problem with fighters, they're not fighting enough people to make a name for themselves. It's like if you've got people trying to be the next Mayweather, yeah, but Mayweather was an Olympic bronze medalist, and then when he turned pro, but he was, I think at 19 he fought Hernandez. Like he was taking on the who's who. I mean, I remember Mayweather. I've seen the fights with Gatti and Diego Corrales and all these sort of people. But then a lot of the fighters these days, you're not fighting these sort of people. And then when you're doing interviews, interviewers are not asking you those challenging questions. Because for me, I'm not a professional fighter. But if you look at the amount of professionals I've sparred, I think this is a good point. Where I've been in the ring with people like Brandon Rios, Kelly Pavlik, Tyson Fury, Kell Brook, Liam Williams, I think it's a good point. Or maybe some people might think it's silly, but look, if I've been in the ring with that many people and I've made the effort to pull it off, then more fighters, you need to make effort. I mean, like fight the best people you can. Don't just keep fighting, low level people we've never heard of. And as I said, I'll be repeating myself, but especially someone like Gervonta Davis, there's at least 5 or 6 people you should be going for. We've said them all, but you should go for Haney, go for Lomachenko.
Yeah, Kambosos, George Kambosos.
Kambosos, Teofimo Lopez. But that's what you need to do. But I think Cruz is a good opponent. And look, ultimately, don't get me wrong, to get to that level, obviously you've got to be good. But if you want to achieve your maximum, then you need to be going for the Haneys, the Lomachenkos. And take this here, like Lomachenko, if I could spar Lomachenko, I'd do it. I'd do it next week. Like if I could get, I'd flip and do it. I think he's an amazing fighter, and it'd be an honor, even though I'm not on that level. But for me to get anywhere near these people, I do it. So what I'm trying to say, I don't understand these fighters where if you're that good, don't you dream about don't you want to beat the other guys? If I was that good, I would. Yeah, I mean, but this is sort of advice. This is a sort of in my opinion, going back to you, these are just some of the tips I would give. You try and start getting people to think differently. Because if Gervonta Davis, if you could knock out Lomachenko, that would be massive for you. Now, I'm not saying I think he can do it. I'm just saying if he did, from his point of view, he thinks he can knock out Lomachenko. If you did, this is what I say to Gervonta Davis. If you knocked out Lomachenko, you'd become massive. But it's like I don't see that ambition. but yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, try and have different conversations with people, and yeah, just keep building your channel.
Absolutely, definitely. The thing is, well, I've been saying myself for years. I want to become a YouTuber, but finally, I finally got the balls, to start it, which I did in September. So I'm happy. I at least, managed to, get my channel up and running. Got about 40 videos now all uploaded. I've interviewed two, boxing insiders with, fairly, decent following. So I've done a lot in a short period of time, but obviously got a long way to go. Didn't get to, my 1,000 subscribers, target point.
As I just started a day at a time. I said to you off camera, I did say, well, I want to move on from boxing. I want to interview Boris Johnson, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, etc. I've seen Nelson Mandela's passed away, Colonel Gaddafi. I would have loved to have interviewed those two, but obviously they're dead. But you set yourself goals and you just keep working your way towards it. So that's what I'd say. Yes, it's not really complicated, but I just think most people in life, they haven't got common sense. Because if these people could get somewhere, they all had to start somewhere. And I'm sure if Barack Obama, if at the age of 18 he said, I want to be president of the United States, I'm sure people would laugh at him or thought you're never going to do it. So you just start off somewhere. And I met Boris Johnson once about 10 years ago. So you just it was at a boxing show. But you just set the goals and you just say, well, what do I need to do? So like for you want to interview people in boxing, and you just figure out, well, just keep doing videos, send it to them on social media, they notice you, build a name, go to the Steve Godwin shows, build a name from the smaller fighters, and you find out what they're like, find out what it's like talking to people in boxing. In my opinion, I think from the conversation I've had recently, I think I've got a good style because I just sort of just get to the point. I think it's different from the way Coogan or Behind the Gloves or whoever might talk to them. So I've got a different style. Not everyone might like it for whatever reason, but that's up to them. So just develop your style, find out what people in boxing are like. And I think my Eddie Hearn interviews are good because I've always got on with Eddie, but Eddie's a very easy person to get on with, to be fair. Like if you're interviewing, who's the hardest person I've tried to interview? Well, I met Katie Taylor recently, but yeah, she ducked the interview. She's not the most talkative person. But yeah, just develop your style. Promoters are generally easy to interview. I've interviewed Steve Goodwin before. Frank Warren's a very difficult person. Like if you ask him challenging questions, he gets angry. But just find out for yourself.
What about Bob
Just
Allen? You've been to any American promoters before?
Yes, I interviewed De La Hoya. He was very easy to get on with.
I can
Well,
imagine probably Bob
actually,
Allen probably be challenging because the way he come across like he's a hothead. If you didn't like your questions, he will try to disarm you.
I could do it. All I'd say, if you gave me 2 hours with anyone, whether it's Trump, Obama, or Bob Arum, if it's 2 hours, in my opinion, I'll do an amazing interview. I'll do like a deep conversation. So as you get to know boxing, I've seen those videos. I know what you talk. I don't watch his interviews, but I've seen when Bob Arum kicked off at the guy recently. Is that what you're talking about? When he
Yeah.
swore? Yeah, but you just take into context that boxing, it's tense situations, and you've got 101 people coming here, coming there. So I don't think that would happen to me with Bob Arum, because if I was going to interview him, yeah, I'd like to interview him. I'm not desperate. Like I'd much rather interview Mike Tyson, and I'd like to interview Don King because you don't really see anyone do that. But if I was going to interview Arum, I'd make it a deep conversation. So so it's just common sense. When you get someone on their own and they're relaxed, and you can start getting into all these things. So I'd have no problem. I'd bring up that incident, and I'd just say, was it necessary? How would I phrase it? I'll just probably just say, yeah, was it necessary for you to talk to another person like this? And just listen to what he's got to say. But it could be anything. Maybe they've got some sort of personal history together, or you know, just like one straw that broke the camel's back. But I think Aaron, yeah, I think he went a bit too far. I know some people find it funny.
I'm sure you can. I'm absolutely. So, are you a fan of Joe Rogan, by the way? Are you a massive fan of him?
Who, Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Not really. I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I respect what he does. I think he's got a very interesting, and yeah, it's like about even what you and me are doing right now. I think it's similar to Joe Rogan, where yeah, I respect him. I think I'd rather have deep conversations with people, you know, like especially people that have worked their way up in whatever field, whether it's acting, politics, or sports. It'd be nice to have a deep conversation. Someone like whoever, like Denzel Washington, Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, I'd love to have like those 1 hour, 2 hour interviews. So yeah, I have seen
Is there
quite a
like
few of
podcasters or journalists you look up to, like you take inspiration from?
No, I don't take inspiration. Not really. How can I phrase it?
Because you know Adi, is it Adolapio, the Nigerian brother,
Oladipo.
Oladipo. He's a massive Joe Rogan fan. That's his inspiration to the boxing journalism, and that's it. He wants to become similar like him in terms of having his own studio, which he does have now, Adi, and he wants to become as big as him one day.
No, I respect Ade. I've met him. I think he's a great person. There's a lot of people in British boxing media, I guess you could say, who I don't really like. But I'm not that I dislike them. I think their work's not that good. But I think Ade's excellent. You know, so but he just says straightforward things. He just speaks the truth. So whatever his goal is, I wish him well. For me, I don't really look up to anyone. I've just got my own plans. Obviously, Joe Rogan's older than me, and obviously he got there first. But this is all stuff that would have occurred to me anyway. I think when I was 14, 15, I bought Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. And even at that age, I said to myself, like before I heard of Joe Rogan or anyone, when I read Arnold Schwarzenegger's encyclopedia and when I saw him in films, I said, one day I'd love to sit down with Arnold Schwarzenegger for 2 hours and just chat. So it's all stuff that would occur to me anyway. So yeah, listen, I respect Joe Rogan, but yeah, I've just got my own aspirations. I won't really say I look up to anyone. Well, how about
Yeah.
you? Is that what you aspire to?
The thing is, with me though, I've actually got aspirations outside of boxing, like you. I actually want to get into filmmaking and script writing. Me and a friend of mine are actually trying to write a script based on his life story. I'm trying to get to a studio and make it to a movie one day. So my goal is, other than YouTube, is actually become maybe one day a filmmaker as well as a script writer, because I've got a big passion for movies in general. I love movies. I love cinema.
Well, I'm planning the same. I want to write my own films. I want to start doing my own short films on YouTube and use that to build an audience. What are you doing to work towards your goals? How are you and your friend doing?
At the moment, we've finished our first. The script based on his life story. We've done it, but we're just trying to get an agent involved. One of the literature agents. But it's hard getting one. A lot of them, we've emailed loads of them. I've had 2 replies, and at the moment they said they're busy, busy, busy. So at the moment, we're struggling to get hold of an agent who would actually read our script and push it to a studio.
Why don't you become your own agent? Just represent yourself.
We're kidding to say that some studios won't work without an agent. So that's something I might consider then. I might just forget the agent, just go forward, just go to a studio directly and see how it goes.
Well, the thing is, yeah, it's because they might be used to doing it a certain way. But if your product is good enough, then you can just approach them yourself. You know, do you know the story of the first Rocky film?
Yeah, yeah, Stallone, yes.
But basically, what happened was he wanted to. So they said to him, "We'll buy the script," and he said, "Okay." He said, "I have to play Rocky." I can't remember how much money they offered him. A lot of money. They said, "We want the script, but not you. You can't play Rocky. You're not. You haven't got the look. You haven't got the voice." And even though he was broke, he said, "Well, no, I'm not going to sell it to you." And eventually, they just gave up. They bought the script off him. They said, "All right, you can play Rocky," and it worked out for him. And even with me, I'll give you a quick example. I've sparred. Let's just in the past sort of 2 years, and I'd like your advice on this. I've sparred Liam Williams and Kell Brook on camera. Yeah, have you seen both of those?
I don't know. I haven't seen them.
Have you seen the Kell Brook one?
I've seen the Cowbook one, yeah.
I got Liam Williams as well, but that was January 2020. It's on my YouTube channel. Let me get your advice as well. Tying into what you're doing. My plan is once I've sparred, so I've got two big names on camera. If I get like another 20 names, it just depends on who says yes. I'm just going to keep asking people. I've got people in January that I'm going to spar. I'm not going to name them because let me just make sure they actually do it first. But over the next 2 years, let's say I spar whoever, David Hay, Tony Bellew, Tasha Jonas, Katie, etc., etc. If I can get to at least 20 names and get it filmed, I'm planning. I'm gonna go to whoever, Sky Sports, BBC, ITV, and I'm gonna say, look at the footage that I've created. Look how many views it's got. Is there an opportunity for me to whatever play this on your have this on your platform? And that's what I'm gonna do. That's one of my. I've got loads of other plans, but I think it's gonna work because I'll say it's interesting footage. How many people do you see get in the ring with world class fighters? What's your advice? Do you think that's gonna think about? I mean, the Kell Brook one that's already got over 8,000 views, and that's actually outperforming IFL. Because if you look at how many people are actually watching it in terms of subscribers, I've only got like 865. So that's got 10 times as many subscribers as me are watching it. Whereas with IFL, they've got 700 subscribers, but some of those videos might only get a few thousand views. So if I can keep that same momentum going, but it's I've said enough anyway. What's your advice? You think that can work?
That could be a niche. Especially if you make the sparring sessions exciting on camera to watch, make it very engaging, very intense sparring. That could work. That could be a niche unique to yourself.
We'll see where it goes, but more importantly with you, so what I was trying to say was, but if you just create a niche, just create some sort of, because in this country, have you ever seen Shiro's story on YouTube?
What's that?
Yeah, Shiro's story. It's like, have you seen the film Blue Story?
Yes.
Well, Shiro's, I'll send it to you, but Shiro's story is like, it's got millions and millions of views on YouTube, but that's sort of like it was sort of the early version of Blue Story. It's like a rap. It's on YouTube. They rap it. But it's very interesting to watch. And then basically got them noticed. So that's just my advice to you. Just whatever your little niche is, whatever it is, whatever subject. And there's loads of subjects I'm trying to do stuff on. Whatever it is, it could be something about domestic violence, could be an inspiring sports sort of film or whatever you're trying to do. Could be something on religion, whatever subject you want. If you can just establish an audience, then if you've got that product, then you can approach people with it. And in my opinion, if anything that can do numbers, people are going to take notice of you. Whether it's whoever it is you want to approach, but just all the best for that. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Try to stand up from the crowd. Try to make yourself unique You know, because this boxing YouTube stuff is very saturated. There's hundreds and hundreds of channels, so you got to do what it takes to make yourself unique and make your content, you know, different.
It's not complicated, but it's with me, that's I'm just trying to do different stuff. I want to start as time goes on. So obviously for now I got the sparring sessions, but as time goes on, I want to try and do boxing documentaries. I want to do boxing films. If you look at documentaries, if you remember Mayweather Pacquiao like 24/7, if you remember All Access, just stuff like that. Just there's loads of stuff like knife crime I want to get into. It's just all it is. You just got to be different. You got to, but a lot of it is just the same. That's what a lot of people's channels. It's just the same content over and over again. So that's why I don't watch people's videos anymore. I'm 31 years old. I've seen this all before. I've been around boxing since I was 16. I've seen people come and go. I've seen YouTube channel. There's people on YouTube who I knew them. I knew them before they started doing their YouTube videos. So I've been around. So that's what it is with your channel. You just got to stand out from the rest. You know, just try and find a way to appeal to people. But I just, come in time anyway. You don't need my advice. You learn it from personal experience.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, you learn, you live and you learn. You learn, you try, you fail. You learn, you try, you fail, and you progress and eventually succeed.
Yeah, it's like Coogan. I remember I met him. I met him before his channel took off. Like I remember when he started. So, but just most people haven't got that patience. Like they haven't. Where he's worked consistently for over 10 years. You just have to have that same sort of. I'm not saying you have to be like him, but it just got to be patient. But most people that haven't got that long-term vision, they just want to keep working. They just keep doing the same day job. But you got to come out of the box. You just got to believe in yourself, believe in your product,
The,
and
the thing I want to achieve is I want to be educational with my content. I don't want to be yes, yes, we all have opinions. We all have both positive and negative views on various people, maybe fighters, promoters, events, etc. But I don't want to be a troll. I don't want to like I could easily become I can easily, be successful through trolling and just hating on fighters and hating on people. I want to be positive with my channel. That's what I
yeah,
think I
but
don't want to.
then, well, as I say, that's not really going to go anywhere because with Time Booth and Porky's Corner, it's like as I've told them before, um, it's up to people what they want to do what you want. But those guys they've limited themselves where it's like, but you can't even go to boxing events. So I don't. If you want to get views, you can get views. It's like, but you've cut yourself off from boxing. So you can't even get into events. You can't work with people. People don't want to work with you. I mean, you can do what you want. It doesn't make any difference to me. But you limit yourself. And if you, as you said, if you just want to be a troll, you can do it. It doesn't make any difference to me. But it's like I get trolled in some of my videos, but I don't really understand what these guys. I don't understand what the long-term plan is. Like as I said, with me, go to college, go to university, and I'm literally just gonna go up to people in boxing. Well, not even before college, even now, I've had conversations with Adam Smith, Ed Robinson, Johnny Nelson. Like I've said to people, I'm trying to get jobs in boxing, and I've listened to what people have to say, and I'm trying to work my way up. And yeah, that's what I'd say to anyone else. Just try and find something constructive.
Yeah,
If you're just
absolutely.
negative, yeah, if you're just negative, you're not really going to get anywhere because what do you offer? So you can come along and insult people, but what do you offer? What's your speciality? And um, yeah, as you said, I want to educate people with my channel as well, and I want to try and explain to boxers about what you should do, what you need to do. Stop fighting once, twice a year. Fight more often. Stop killing your body. Like stop draining your body. I mean, try and fight at comfortable weight. Stop paying so many people. You know, you're paying too many people, and it's like, what's that? Anthony Joshua. Like, I don't know if you ever saw this video of Anthony Joshua where there was this guy with a tennis ball who was throwing a tennis ball at Anthony Joshua. You ever seen that?
No.
Yeah, I thought it was quite stupid because it doesn't really have anything to do with boxing. If you want to become a better boxer, then you got to do boxing training. But you know, you're doing all this strength and conditioning, but you know, it's like just sometimes old school training's good enough. But like some of these boxers, they just got way too many people around them, and some of
Yeah,
these
massive
people don't know
entourages.
boxing. Yeah, but they don't know boxing. Like they come out of university with a sports science degree, which I'm not saying it's bad to have a degree, but having a degree alone doesn't mean you know boxing. Because you know they come out there like they work with these Joshua and these sort of people, but I've met them. I've met some of these people, but you talk to them. Have you ever boxed before? Have you ever trained in a boxing gym? Have you ever worked with fighters before? Do you follow the history of boxing? No. So like they don't really know what they're doing. Right? You know, it's not what's lifting weights doesn't necessarily make you a better fighter. You know, and obviously some of them, because they don't know how to train you, they'll tell you to lift weights in order to cover up the fact they don't really know what they're doing. And like I said, like when Joshua lost to, it's like there's always excuses. Oh, we this, yeah, but you lose a fight by losing a fight. And I'll show you how stupid it sounds. When people make excuses for fighters losing, why do you never make any excuse for the opponents that your fighter beat? Because maybe they had some sort of issue. Like for me, the fights that I lost this year, listen, I lost them fair and square. Got no excuses. I know if I have a rematch, I'll be much fit. But I don't even mean to say that. Like you win a fight by winning a fight. But you know, when you get fighters saying, "Oh, my fighter was injured and this and that," and it's a fight. I mean, how many times did Muhammad Ali fight with injuries, or you know, or Joe Lewis and all these guys? But a lot of people in boxing, they don't know the history of boxing. They don't. There's a lot of people don't even like boxing. They do it just for money. You know, I don't know if you ever know. Like half the people in box, they don't really. They do it for money. They don't do it because they actually like boxing, like I do. Um, but that's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? You know, you just got to find a way to deal with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's got, you got to make it, you got to, stick grind and hustle and grind and just stick through the BS and keep, grinding, carry on. Deal with the nonsense that comes with boxing, politics, and etc. And just stick through it and weather the storm and progress until you find the sunshine.
Yeah, you sound pretty tired.
No, I'm good. I just how long has this been how long, an hour? How long have we been talking for?
Um, Probably it doesn't say it. Let me look at my phone and try and guess. Let me see. Yeah, probably something like an hour. I think it's more like 2 hours actually.
2 hours.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, since I think 10 past 6. I think.
yeah. So I think
Anyway,
we said. Yeah, I
so
hope you enjoyed it.
it's been a pleasure meeting you, Michael. Pleasure meeting you. So bottom line is, White Fury no go. Can't book happens.
Nah,
Opinion.
con on points.
Okay, and you think it'll happen despite the lockdown possibly in January?
The
February
fights
19th to happen, isn't it?
the fight's booked for February 19th. Yeah, I think it will happen.
Okay. Does Joshua beat Usyk?
No,
Okay.
he's got no common sense. Like he's running from gym to gym to gym. You got less than 4 months, and it's like Usyk's just doing the same thing he's always done. Usyk's been training that way for years. and you're running from trainer to trainer to trainer. It's like, you're not. I'm not saying you'll never beat Usyk, but you're not giving yourself enough time. Do what you want, but see the difference between me and Joshua. I'm like, Joshua's got an ego. I don't. If it was me, just step aside. Just give yourself more time. Give yourself time to just. You don't even know what you're doing. You're going from this trainer to that. It's like, why can't you figure out what trainer you want? Then you're going from this guy to that guy. Yeah, but use your common sense. Joshua generates a lot of money, so of course these people want to train you. But I don't mean they're going to tell you anything useful. I mean, Usyk's just too developed for him. That's all it is. I'm not saying he has never beat him, but he's not going to beat him in his next fight. Very unlikely. Just move on. Just leave it alone. Go fight someone else. Work on some stuff, and egos in boxing.
There's Michael. Pleasure speaking to you. Maybe later on you can invite me in your channel and I can become a regular guest in each other's channels. Start a good relationship between two boxing hardcore fans.
Yeah, I don't mind. People are people. I'll talk to anyone.
What's your plans for the new year?
Just do a lot of training, do a lot of studying, go to work, save up my money. It's going to be a massive year for me. And as I've said, I've got world-class boxers. I've got people's phone numbers. I've been told that I can spar these people in January. Let me just see if they stay true to their words. But I do have people. They've actually given me their phone numbers. But
okay,
let's just see if they stay true to their words.
you shall see. We shall see,
Yeah,
Michael.
I'm sure they will. I hope so, at least.
And lastly, New Year plans. What are you doing for New Year? Going out New Year, or do you
Nothing.
celebrate, or just you chilling in, or?
No, I like New Year. I think it's a great, my favorite day of the year. I'll just do the same thing I always do. Just stay in.
I'll stay in. Okay. Anyways, I might chill in. I might go out with a few mates. We shall see. You never know. Depends on the day.
Try and stay off the alcohol.
I'll try. Anyways, Michael, you take care. Thanks for being patient with me. Thanks for being patient with me. Thanks for letting me record our conversation. Because the first time, fortunately, I messed up, but second time, I learned my lesson.
That happens.
Okay, you take care, amigo. You take care. Oh, anyways, where are you from originally? You're from Ethiopia. What's your country of origin?
Eritrea,
Whereabouts is that? Eritrea. Whereabouts is that?
north of Ethiopia.
Oh, okay. Okay. What? Okay. How do you say goodbye in your language?
Just chill.
Ciao. Okay. Were you born here? Were you born over there? Were you
I was born in Eritrea, but I've been here since I was 5.
5? Oh, 5. And do you go back every now and then, or you ever been there in a long time, or?
I haven't been there in 5 years, but yeah, I'm looking to go next year.
Okay. Is most of your family back there? Your aunties, uncles, cousins?
Yeah, most.
Okay. Okay. Anyways, Michael. Anyway, again, pleasure. I'm so pleased to interview. Paul James Jackson. Finally, got to see in the flesh, and I look forward to seeing each other more often, and maybe one day I might see you in person in the flesh. You never know.
Anytime. People are just people. I'll talk to anyone. You can come do hill sprints with me if you want.
Oh, okay.
You've gone all
Okay.
quiet now.
I did. It's been a while since I've been in the gym, but I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind at
Yeah,
all.
come do some hill sprints, do a bit of training.
Oh, nice. Anyways, Michael, you take care. Adios, amigo.
You
Adios.
too.